وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُّدَّكِرٍ.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, we begin from verse number 78 of Surah Yusuf. Before we get on, a small recap of the last events which we studied on Thursday night. Very intelligently, by Allah's guidance, Yusuf alayhi salam placed the drinking cup in the bag of this younger brother Binyamin, for that was the only option left for him to retain Binyamin with him as per the law of the Sharia. And when the bowl was found in the bag of Binyamin, there was no other option than to leave him with Yusuf alayhi salam. A very important point that we discussed was how the brothers continued to slander or accuse Yusuf alayhi salam in front of Yusuf alayhi salam, whom they did not recognize, saying that if Binyamin has stolen, there is nothing new or strange. His brother too had stolen earlier, to which Yusuf alayhi salam is shocked and feels very hurt. But as a true believer who possesses immense taqwa in his heart, suppresses his anger and sorrow and does not react. He only says that you people are not worth being reacted to. Antum sharrum makana. You are in the worst position. तुम इस हालत में हो कि तुमसे जो है गुफ्तगू करना या बहस करना ये बिल्कुल बेकार है. तुम इसके लायक नहीं हो कि मैं तुमसे कुछ बहस और गुफ्तगू करूं. And he leaves it to Allah by saying, Wallahu bima tasifun, Allah knows best of what you describe. Up to there we had studied in the last class. Now we proceed and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to say on this particular subject of Yusuf alayhi salam. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Qalu ya ayyuhal azizu inna lahu aban shaykhan kabiran fakhuz ahadana makanahu inna naraka minal muhsinin. They said, that is the brother said, O Aziz, verily he has a father, shaykhan, old, kabiran, very old. Fakhuz ahadana makanahu. So take one of us in his place. Verily we see you among the muhsinin, good doers. भाइयों ने कहा, ए अजीज, बेशक उसके अब्बा बूढ़े हैं, इंतहाई बूढ़े, बस रख लो हम में से किसी को उसकी जगह. बेशक हम देखते हैं आपको नेकोकारों में से. If you look at this verse carefully, Inna naraka minal muhsinin has also featured in the same surah. I'm sure you would have by this time understood where it was. Identical words, Inna naraka minal muhsinin. It was earlier used by the prison inmates. उन दो कैदियों से भी जो है यही अल्फाज को अल्लाह ने कोट किया है. When the two prisoners who were inmates with Yusuf alayhi salam saw their dream and put it forth before Yusuf alayhi salam, and they tell him that we are confiding these dreams to you because we surely see you among the good doers. Inna naraka minal muhsinin. And here also, the brothers who so far have not understood or recognized Yusuf alayhi salam as strangers per se, use the same words, Inna naraka minal muhsinin. This shows the very character of Yusuf alayhi salam. उनका किरदार, उनके अखलाक इतने नुमाया कि कैदियों भी जो है उस कैद खाने में यही अल्फाज इस्तेमाल किए, इन्ना नराका मिनल मुहसिनीन. और यहाँ भी इनके भाई जो अभी तक यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम के लिए अजनबी हैं, यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम ने उनको पहचान लिया, लेकिन इनके लिए यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम अजनबी हैं। और यही जो है अल्फाज ये भी इस्तेमाल करते हैं, इन्ना नराका मिनल मुहसिनीन। इससे ये मालूम होता है कि यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम का मिजाज, उनका किरदार, उनका तौर तरीक़ा, उनके बातचीत का सलीक़ा, उनके गुफ्तगू का अंदाज और उनकी तबीयत में जो आजिज़ी, मोहब्बत, मुस्कुराहट, ये तमाम चीज़ें बनते हैं अखलाक। इसी का नाम होता है अखलाक। और अखलाक is very very important. Let me tell you, when I'm talking about the word character, then let me also go one step further to tell you that Prophet ﷺ has said, on the day of Qiyamah, when the good deeds will be weighed in the scales of the balance, then this particular quality of character, of good character, will weigh heavily on the day of Qiyamah in the scales of the good deeds. There could not be anything better than character which will add to the weight of the good deeds on the day of Qiyamah. जब हमारे नेकियों का हिसाब लिया जाएगा और नेकियों को तोला जाएगा, तो हमारे अखलाक जो होंगे, किरदार जो होगा, वो उस तराजू के, उस मीज़ान के तराजू के जो है उस नेकियों को बहुत बढ़ा देंगे। और ये अखलाक है क्या? What is this akhlaq? What is this character about? What is this muhsinin? And the word muhsin used here, it means a person who is good to people, a person who draws the, who invites the pleasure of Allah, and a person who is liked by Allah on account of his character, good deeds, who is kind, who is loving, who is affectionate, who is humble, who is easy to access, whom people find comfort in engaging with such a person. ऐसे शख्स के साथ बातचीत करना, गुफ्तगू करना, इनको जो है एक सुकून हासिल होता, बिकॉज इस शख्स से कोई बुराई सोची नहीं जा सकती. No harm can be ever expected from such a person. If at all, they could expect only good, and good only will come out from such a person with such good character. And this is very, very important. We may do a lot of good deeds. We may perform nawafil, askar, duas, and tahajjud. And in the coming Ramzan, we may be amassing a lot of good deeds. Fasting, taraweeh, recitation of the Quran, sadaqah, khairat, zakat, you name it. But one thing let me share with you, which is a reminder for you and for you, and for you and for me, is that we should learn to behave well with people. And unless we don't learn to do that, if we are going to be proud, we are going to be arrogant, we are going to be rude, we are going to express our anger, and we think we are somebody, then all those good deeds, mind you, will have absolutely no value at all in the eyes of Allah. अल्लाह की निगाह में इसकी कोई हैसियत. अल्लाह उसी शख्स को पसंद करता है जिसके अंदर आजिज़ी हो, अच्छे किरदार हो, अच्छा अखलाक हो, लोगों के साथ नरमी के साथ, मोहब्बत के साथ बात करता हो, लोगों की मदद करता हो, लोगों की खिदमत करता हो, लोगों के दिल को जीतता हो, अपने वालिदैन, अपने रिश्तेदार, अपनी बीवी, अपने अहल हयाल के साथ नेक सलूक करता हो, सुलह रहमी करता हो. ऐसे शख्स को अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला बहुत पसंद करता है, और यही चीज़ काम आएंगे क़यामत के दिन. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing the excellent character of Yusuf alayhi salam, and these identical words we find here, inna naraka minal muhsinin. By looking at him, by engaging with him itself, they gave a certificate that you are a good doer and we expect only good out of you. قال معاذ الله أن نأخذ إلا من وجدنا متاعنا عنده إنا إذا لظالمون. Yusuf alayhi salam said, Ma'az Allah, forbid Allah, that we take except whom we have found mata'ana indahu, our belongings near him. Verily we in such a case surely will be wrongdoers. यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम ने कहा अल्लाह की पनाह कि हम ले ले सिवाय जिसके पास हमने पाया हमारे सामान को उसके यहाँ, बेशक ऐसी सूरत में हम हो जाएंगे नाइंसाफी करने वाले. यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम said, sorry, it doesn't work that way. You yourself a little earlier mentioned that with whom will be found the belonging, that person only will be detained, and therefore I have no choice but to go by the rule and you only have mentioned this rule in the Sharia, and therefore I have to abide by it. فَلَمَّا اسْتَيْأَسُوا مِنْهُ خَلَصُوا نَجِيًّا قَالَ كَبِيرُهُمْ أَلَمْ تَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ أَبَاكُمْ قَدْ أَخَذَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَوْثِقًا مِنَ اللَّهِ وَمِنْ قَبْلُ مَا فَرَّطْتُمْ فِي يُوسُفَ فَلَنْ أَبْرَحَ الْأَرْضَ حَتَّى يَأْذَنَ لِي أَبِي أَوْ يَحْكُمَ اللَّهُ لِي وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الْحَاكِمِينَ. So then when they despaired, or when they lost hope from him, khalasu najiya, they secluded themselves for a private conversation. Said the eldest of them, Kabiruhum is the eldest of them, said the eldest of them, do not you know that your father indeed had taken upon you a solemn oath in the name of Allah, and from before, ma farratum, what you failed or you committed negligence concerning Yusuf al-Islam. Walan abrahal arza, and never I shall leave the land, hatta yazana li, until gives permission to me my father, aw yahkum Allahu li, hatta yazana li abi, aw yahkum Allahu bi, or decides Allah for me, wa huwa khairul hakimin, and he is the best of judges. फिर जब वो मायूस हो गए उससे, वो तन्हाई में मशवरा करने लगे आपस में। उनके सबसे बड़े भाई ने कहा, क्या नहीं तुम जानते कि तुम्हारे अब्बा ने एक पुख्ता इकरार लिया था तुमसे अल्लाह के नाम पर, और इससे पहले जो तुमने कोताही की यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम के मामले में, हरगिज नहीं मैं छोड़ने वाला इस जमीन को, यहाँ तक कि इजाजत दे मुझे मेरे अब्बा, या फैसला करे अल्लाह मेरे लिए, और वही सबसे बेहतरीन फैसला फरमाने वाला। So they tried to convince Yusuf al-Islam, would never win over. Yusuf al-Islam was very firm in the decision he had taken. So when they failed in convincing him, they had no other choice than to have a consultation among themselves, how to come out of this very complex situation which has emerged. बड़े पेचीदा जो है अब मसला उनके सामने खड़ा हो गया। अब उनके अब्बा को क्या जवाब दें। इससे पहले इन्होंने जो है, these are the same fellows who stained Yusuf al-Islam's shirt when he was a little boy with false blood and spoke lies to the father, saying that the wolf has devoured him or killed him. Now they have got stuck in a sense that now once again they will be going back without Binyamin, and now they are worried as to how they will be able to give an answer or reply to a question which their father will raise as to why they have not brought Binyamin as they had promised in the name of Allah. इन्होंने जो है पुख्ता इकरार लिया अल्लाह के नाम से, जरूर जो है वो यूसुफ बिन्यामीन को वापस खैरियत से पहुंचाएंगे। अब बिन्यामीन को रोक दिया गया, अब क्या जवाब देंगे उनके अब्बा को। ये इनको मसला आया, पेचीदा मसला, अब ये समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं कि क्या किया जाए। So the eldest brother gives them an advice. What is it? The next verse says that irji'u ila abikum faqulu ya abana inna ibnaka sarakh wa ma shahidna illa bima alimna wa ma kunna lil ghaibi hafizin. Go back to your father, then say, O our father, inna ibna sarakh, verily your son had, inna ibnaka sarakh, verily your son has stolen. And not we were present, and not we were present except with what we know, or not we testify except with what we know, and not we were to the unseen guardians. लौट जाओ तुम्हारे अब्बा के पास और उनसे कहो, ए हमारे अब्बा जान, बेशक आपके बेटे ने चोरी की है और नहीं हम मौजूद थे, यानी उस वक्त, सिवाय जो हम जानते हैं, और नहीं हम पोशीदा चीज़ों के बारे में मुहाफिज हैं या हिफाजत करने वाले हैं या निगरानी करने वाले हैं. So the brother says, we have no choice, go back, until straight away that Binyamin had stolen, on account of which he was detained, And we do not know anything more than this, for we did not see him doing it and we can't testify it. But it was, the bowl was discovered from his bag और शरीयत के हुक्म के मुताबिक उनको रोक लिया गया. वस्अल क़रियत अल्लती कुन्ना फ़ीहा वल ईर अल्लती अक़बलना फ़ीहा व इन्ना लसादिक़ून. Ask the town, was'al al-qarya, and ask the town in which we were in it, wal ir allati aqbalna fiha, and the caravan in which we returned in it, wa inna la sadiqun, and verily we surely are truthful. पूछो उस बस्ती में, पूछो उस बस्ती से जहाँ पे जिसमें हम थे उसमें, और उस काफिले को जिनसे हमने लौटे उसमें, और बेशक हम जरूर सच्चे हैं या सच कहते हैं. This is what requires convincing now. When a believer says something, he doesn't need necessarily say, I am truthful, I am telling you this, you're not still convinced. All this is not required for a believer. When he says something, your integrity, your honesty, your truthfulness should have already been well established, that the person who listens is not going to question or have any suspicion about what you're conveying. It's only when you know in your own self that you're guilty of always speaking the lie, and you have done it in the past, then only the necessity arises that you need to convince the opposite person that what you're speaking is truth, is the truth. वरना इसकी जरूरत ही नहीं आती. जरूरत कब पेश आती है? जब आपको खुद मालूम है कि आपने कई बार जो है इससे पहले भी झूठ बोला है, और सामने वाले को जो है आप यकीन दिलाने के तुम क्या करते हो, तुम उनसे कहते हो देखो हम जो बोल रहे हैं बिल्कुल सच करें. वरना एक मोमेंट के लिए बोलने की जरूरत ही नहीं ना, क्योंकि वो हर वक्त सच्चाई पर रहता है, सच ही बोलता है, और उसकी बात पर जो है इतना एतमाद लोगों को पैदा होना चाहिए कि इसको ये बोलने की जरूरत ही ना पेश आए. So now they are feeling the necessity to say that inna lasadiqun, because they themselves are guilty of the fact that they have spoken a lie earlier. और झूठ एक ऐसी चीज है जो इंसान को कहीं की ना रखेगी. Speaking lies is one particular root cause of all evils. It leads you nowhere. And this is the beginning of damaging one's character. The beginning. First step towards damaging one's character is speaking truth, speaking lies, which is nothing but opposite of haq, truth. And this is another quality which we should totally abstain during Ramzan, particularly. In normal times, I think I shared this hadith before you. Sahabi came and asked the Prophet ﷺ, can a believer be a miser? Can he be stingy? Very reluctantly, Prophet says, possible. Actually, he should not. It's possible. Can a believer be a coward? Actually, should not. Prophet said, possible. The third question the Sahabi put, can a believer be a liar? Prophet said, nothing doing, not at all, not at all, not at all. Thrice he said, ये हो ही नहीं सकता, ये हो ही नहीं सकता, ये हो ही नहीं सकता. पहला सवाल था, क्या एक मोमिन कंजूस हो सकता है, बखील हो सकता है? रसूल अकरम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम झिझक के जो है कि शायद हो सकता, नहीं होना चाहिए, शायद हो सकता. दूसरा सवाल, क्या एक मोमिन बुज़दिल हो सकता है? होना तो नहीं चाहिए. रसूल सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने कहा शायद हो सकता. क्या एक मोमिन झूठा हो सकता है? रसूल सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम हरगिज नहीं हो सकता, हरगिज नहीं हो सकता, हरगिज नहीं हो सकता. Thrice he mentions. This is one particular quality that Allah should protect us. I tell you, it is something happens so spontaneously that you don't realize yourself that you've spoken a lie. And that can damage the fasting. That can damage the fasting. रोजे में शिगाफ पड़ जाता है, क्रैक्स डेवलप हो जाते हैं रोजे में, और वो रोजा अल्लाह के यहाँ दुरुस्त तरीके से मकबूल नहीं होता. इल्ला माशाल्लाह, अल्लाह फिर भी खैर करे, माफ कर दे तो अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला बड़ा मेहरबान है. लेकिन बहुत एहतियात लेना पड़ेगा. अल्लाह के रसूल ने ये भी कहा, अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला को उस रोजेदार से कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं जो रोजा रख के झूठ भी बोलता है, गीबत भी करता है, अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला को ऐसे रोजेदार के रोजे से कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं, और उसको भूख और प्यास के साथ कोई चीज हासिल नहीं होती। Prophet ﷺ said, Allah is not interested at all in that believer who, while fasting, speaks lies or slanders or backbites, and that fasting believer does not get any benefit out of his fasting except that he has remained hungry and thirsty. You need to be very, very careful. It will damage our fasting. Except if Allah wills, He still could overlook and pardon our sins. That's a different matter. But very strong warnings have been given. खुसूसी तौर पर झूठ के मामले में. Of course, there's so many other things. Of course, I don't have time now to talk about the virtues of fasting and things like that. But those who are interested can always contact Brother Ashfaq Sati. Yesterday, I gave a lecture on this, and they can ask for the recording, which will inshallah be ready in another couple of days once for editing. So once it's ready, you can always access that, and Brother Ashfaq Sati will share to you on a personal level. So very importantly, we find over here that now the brothers have to convince Yusuf al-Islam by saying, we are speaking the truth. قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا وصبر جميل عسى الله أن يأتيني بهم جميعا إنه هو العليم الحكيم. Yaqub al-Islam said, but has facilitated for you your souls a matter. Patience is the best. Perhaps Allah, that He will bring them all to me altogether. That He will bring them to me altogether. Verily, He only is the all-knower, all-wise. Yaqub al-Islam ने कहा, बल्कि सहूलत कर दी तुम्हारे लिए तुम्हारे नफ्सों ने एक और मामला, सबर ही बेहतरीन है, शायद अल्लाह के ले आएगा उनको मेरे यहाँ सब के सब, बेशक वही है खूब जानने वाला, खूब हिकमत वाला. Yaqub al-Islam knows right from day one when they spoke a lie and cooked up a story that Yusuf al-Islam not being killed by a wolf. Can never happen. Yaqub al-Islam is 100% sure. So Yaqub al-Islam is now saying, Allah will never disappoint him. देखो कितना एतमाद, कितना भरोसा है, कितना तवक्कल है. कई साल, कई मुद्दत गुजर गई. 7 साल का बच्चा अब तकरीबन 45 साल या 47 साल, almost 40 years. But the tawakkul on Allah, that faith in Allah has not faded one bit. थोड़ा भी तवक्कल में हल्का सा कमी भी नहीं है. वही उम्मीद, अल्लाह जरूर ले आएगा, अल्लाह जरूर ले आएगा, मेरे बिछड़े हुए औलाद को अल्लाह जरूर ले आएगा. This is the strong conviction. कितना सबर, कितना तहम्मुल, कितना बर्दाश्त की क़ुव्वत बुढ़ापे की हालत में, कितनी बड़ी आजमाइश अल्लाह की तरफ से. Children will not understand. Parents understand the pain of they undergo when Allah tests them through their children. औलाद की जो आजमाइश बड़ी सख्त होती है, ये सिर्फ वालिदैन ही जान सकते हैं, और वालिदैन को ही एहसास हो सकता है, बच्चों को इतना एहसास नहीं होता. वालिदैन को अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला जो औलाद से आजमाता है, बड़ी सख्त तरीन आजमाइश होती है. The test that the parents undergo when Allah tests them to their children different ways. I don't have no time to elaborate on this, but it's a very tough test. May Allah protect all of us. So we are too weak to experience such a test. وتولى عنهم وقال يا أسف على يوسف وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم. وتولى عنهم. Yaqub turned away from them and he said, Ya Asafa, oh alas, upon Yusuf, وَابْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ, and became white. عَيْنَاهُ, his eyes. مِنَ الْحُزْنِ, out of grief. فَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ, while he was suppressing his sorrow. और मुंह फेर लिया उनसे, यानी याकूब अलैहिस्सलाम उनसे मुंह फेर लिया और कहा, हाय अफसोस यूसुफ पर, और सफेद हो गई उसकी आंखें गम के मारे, जबकि वो गम का घूंट पी रहा था. रोते रोते आंखें जो है सफेद हो गई. While he was deeply in grief and sorrow, thinking about Yusuf alayhi salam, and he used to cry so much that his eyes became white. And Allah has recorded this because nobody could understand the pain except Allah. Nobody could understand his pain except Allah. और वैसे भी हमारा जो दुखड़ा है, हमारा जो गम है, हमारे अंदर जो कैफियत गुजरती है, उसका एहसास किसी को नहीं हो सकता सिवाय हमारे पैदा करने वाले मन को. वरना अल्लाह इसको रिकॉर्ड क्यों करता? And Allah has put it on record in the Quran. That shows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how seriously He has taken note of this particular impact. The absence of Yusuf al-Islam and Binyamin had on a toll on his life. Next verse, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قالوا تالله تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون هرزا أو تكون من الهالكين قال إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله وأعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون. They said, who said? Yaqub al-Islam said, Yusuf al-Islam's brother said, Tallahi, by Allah, you will not cease to mention Yusuf until you become utterly weak, or you become of those who destroy themselves, halikin. Yaqub al-Islam said, Innama ashku basi wa huzni ilallah. Only I am registering my complaint of my grief and sorrow to Allah. Wa alamu min Allahi ma la ta'lamun, and I know from Allah what not you know. उन्होंने कहा, यानी याकूब अलैहिस्सलाम के बेटों ने कहा, अल्लाह की कसम, तुम नहीं बाज आने वाले याद करते हुए यूसुफ को, यहाँ तक कि तुम अपने आप को घुला दोगे या तुम अपने आप को हिलाक करने वालों में से हो जाओगे. याकूब अलैहिस्सलाम ने कहा, सिर्फ मैं अपनी फरियाद मेरे गम की और मेरे दुख की अल्लाह के यहाँ पहुंचाता हूँ, और मैं अल्लाह से जानता हूँ जो नहीं तुम जानते हो. This is a very important lesson. In our lives, all of us undergo ups and downs, good times, difficult times. I don't call bad times, good times, difficult times do come in each one's life. There are two ways of this. There are two ways of looking at it. One reaction would be when you undergo such kind of pain, hardships and trials and difficulties and sorrow and pain, that you express it before people. Some of them may be your well-wishers, some of them you may think they are well-wishers, may not be, whatever. So that you feel you may lessen your burden and you may share your grief with the people. This is one way of looking at it, and one way this is what by and large happens. The other one is that you endure it and you cry your heart out before Allah. You cry your heart out before Allah. दो तरीका होता है, और एक है कि जब आप जो है इस परेशानी, गम और दुख और तकलीफ के दौर से गुजरते हो, तो तुम लोगों के सामने शायद शेयर भी करोगे कि देखो मेरे को ये तकलीफ है, मेरी परेशानी है. कुछ लोग तुम्हारे खैर खा होंगे, घर वाले होंगे, कुछ तुम समझते होंगे तुम्हारे खैर खा, बट जरूरी नहीं कि वो तुम्हारे खैर खा हो, जरूरी नहीं कि वो तुम्हारे खैर खा हो. तो देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी दिस वे एज वेल. दूसरा है कि तुम जो है इसको पूरे सब्र और तहम्मुल के साथ बर्दाश्त करो और अपना दुखड़ा अल्लाह सुब्हानहू तआला के सामने पेश करो. अपना जो है दुखड़ा, अपना गम, अपना जो भी आपको जो तकलीफ महसूस हो रही है, अल्लाह के सामने जो है इसको रोना, अल्लाह सुब्हानहू तआला के सामने इस तकलीफ को पेश करना, ये एक दूसरा तरीका हो सकता है. और याकूब अलैहिस्सलाम इज अडॉप्टिंग द सेकंड तरीका, द सेकंड मेथड, एंड दैट इज द बेस्ट. That is the best. Who can be more powerful than Allah? One, in understanding your problem, for He is the all-knower, all-wise. He knows us thoroughly. And what a person is undergoing at that point of time, nobody can understand the situation better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, it is most wise that we cry out also before Him, for we know that He only has the power to alleviate that hardship and that sorrow and that grief and get us out of that difficult situation. जब हम जानते हैं कि हमारा मालिक जो 70 माहों की मोहब्बत रखने वाला, जो जानता है मेरी हालत को, मेरी कैफियत को, मेरे एहसासात को, मेरे गम को, मेरे दुखड़े को, तो मैं क्यों किसी और के सामने मेरा दुखड़ा रोऊं? मैं मेरे मालिक के सामने ही जो है गिड़गिड़ाऊंगा, रोऊंगा, और मैं अपने जो है परेशानियां जो भी मेरे हैं उसके सामने मैं रख दूंगा, क्योंकि मेरे को पूरा जो है यकीन है कि मेरा मालिक ही वो इख्तियारात रखता है कि मेरे को इस परेशानी से निकाले. And that's the best way forward, let me tell you. May Allah protect us from such kind of difficult situations, but we can't avoid it. We can't avoid it. Whatever precautions we may take, how much ever we may put in our best step forward, ultimately Allah's final verdict which we have to accept. There's a possibility. But the second way which I mentioned is the best. And this is exactly what Yaqub al-Islam is saying. You people will not understand what I am undergoing, and there's no meaning in me discussing with you. It's a waste of time. You will only feel happy at the end of the day. Who knows? You may laugh it off. So I don't want to discuss this matter with you. I'm just crying, and I'm crying before Allah. I'm not crying before you. I'm not asking you to help me. I'm just asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to get me out. What's your problem? And I know that only Allah has the power to get me out of this. So I know from Allah what not you know. And that is something which is really a big, big lesson for you and I. May Allah protect us from all hardships and difficulties. But in the event of anything happening like that, cry out before Allah. Cry your heart out before Allah. And have firm conviction. Allah will definitely, if not today, if not tomorrow, down the line, Allah will definitely get me out of this problem and solve my issues. For He is the best. And He only has the power. And He only has the ability to get us out of it. And you have total faith. And we ask Allah with total conviction. Allah will definitely answer our prayer. For who can answer the prayer and alleviate our problem better than Allah Himself? With this, we come to conclusion of today's session. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to derive the best messages out of these verses that we have studied. Excellent messages in every episode of Yusuf al-Islam's narrative. Ameen wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.